I was going to talk about 10,000 steps, why that's a number and why we hear about it all the time, striving to get that every day. So I thought I'd first, because I've heard about this for a long time, like it came out of Japan years ago. So there was a Japanese company called Yamasa Corp that came up with a slogan for the first commercial pedometer in conjunction with the Olympics during that time meant 10,000 step meter. So that's where it kind of came from. I thought I would mention my history with 10,000 steps. When I got into fitness back in, the 90s, I'm not quite sure when I first heard about it. It was in the 2000s and especially the late 2000s, the aughts. That wouldn't be the aughts. Like 2009-ish, I got my first Fitbit. And I think that was their thing. I've known about 10,000 steps for probably 20 years, roughly. And I strive to do that every day. What's interesting about that is you would think steps are steps, but welcome back to the Hippy Dad YouTube channel. My name is Scott. It's only been a few days since I last posted a video and I went from 20 to 25 subscribers down to 24, but at least it's progress. So please like and subscribe. And again, the shorts are getting a lot of views. These longer form videos, not too much. I think I had 3 views and I might have been one of them, but at least I got a thumbs up, which I did not do. So last episode, I talked about the benefits of exercise for depression and anxiety. And I mentioned at the end, I was going to talk about 10,000 steps, why that's a number and why we hear about it all the time, striving to get that every day. So I thought I'd first, because I've heard about this for a long time, like it came out of Japan years ago. So I went back and looked. I did a little research. And sure enough, in the mid 60s, there was a Japanese company called Yamasa Corp that came up with a slogan for the first commercial pedometer in conjunction with the Olympics during that time. And I didn't come up with the Japanese name for it because I couldn't pronounce it, but it meant 10,000 step meter. So that's where it kind of came from. And that was 60 years ago. And over the years, it became a thing. Well, before going any farther, I thought I would mention my history with 10,000 steps. When I got into fitness back in, the 90s, I'm not quite sure when I first heard about it. I want to say it was in the 2000s and especially the late 2000s, the aughts. That wouldn't be the aughts. That's like 2009-ish. I got my first Fitbit. And I think that was their thing, 10,000 steps. So I've known about 10,000 steps for probably 20 years, roughly. And I strive to do that every day. Now, what's interesting about that is you would think steps are steps, but one of the last videos, I showed you my Apple Watch, Aura Ring, and the Whoop. And I've had Fitbits, I've had Samsungs. Now, you would think they'd be close. No. Years ago, I did a study when I was at school teaching, and you're on your feet all day walking back and forth. And at the end of the day, I think I had like 25,000 steps from Fitbit and 15,000 for an Apple Watch. How could it be a $10,000 difference? Thus 10,000 steps, right? Just recently, I work out. I also work at Aldi in the morning, so I get a lot of steps. It's an hour and a half every day. And the difference just the other day was like the Whoop was roughly 22,000 steps. Aura Ring was about 18,000 and the Apple Watch was about 16,000. So we're talking, and I'm wearing them on my body. How is that possible? So I think for me, I look at the Apple Watch probably to be most consistent and most real. Obviously, if you're walking, moving your arms, or if you're not moving your arms, if you're cooking or something, moving your arms, are those steps? And I'm not sure what the algorithms are that each of these companies use, but clearly they are different. And yes, if I'm using an Aura ring and a Whoop in the one arm, that should be relatively close, right? Maybe I use my left arm more. I don't know. But that's something to consider when you're getting your steps. I did some research for this YouTube video. And what I could find is experts studies indicate 7,000 real steps a day will do the trick for the most Americans in terms of getting benefits, not necessarily 10,000. I've heard 8,000, but what I saw was 7,000. And the average adult is not even getting 5,000 steps a day. So 2,000 steps is roughly a mile for most people. If you do 2,000 steps, it's about a mile. That's all you need to reap these benefits. So I listed these. I'm going to look over to my left here to make sure I get these. So walking's beneficial for cardiovascular fitness, but there's so much more. Researchers, and I'll link the articles in a summary at the bottom of the description. So here we go. Researchers looked at 57 studies and found that if you get 7,000 steps a day, you have a 47% lower risk of death or all-cause mortality, a 47% lower risk of cardiovascular disease mortality, which I think is death by cardiovascular disease, heart disease, things like that. You have a 25% lower chance of getting cardiovascular disease in the first place. 38% lower risk of dementia, 28% lower risk of falls, 37% lower risk of cancer mortality. And here we go, 22% lower risk of depressive symptoms, which is what I referred to in my last video. And lastly, 14% lower risk of type 2 diabetes. Now, I did see this too, and I didn't quite understand why, but it said older adults, like, and I'm getting close to the older adults since I'm 56, may need less steps than 7,000, but more than 5 to reap the benefits. And again, I couldn't quite figure out why, but that's what the study showed. So all that leads me to 10,000 steps, why I do it. It's a game. You're gamifying fitness, going for your steps. I take pride in that. I get steps every day. The other day I wasn't feeling well, but I made damn sure somehow I got 10,000 steps. I don't think I've missed a 10,000 step day in a long time, like months. And so I hope I can fall under those benefits as I get older. Yeah. So as we wrap up, 10,000 steps, not really scientific. 7,000, I guess, is more scientific. But the more the better, right? I've had, I think my top number, the family and I, back in 2015, I did, with a Fitbit, mind you, so it's exaggerated, 46,000 steps in one day and 38,000 the next. No, 46. And then 2019, I went down to Tampa just before COVID hit, and I walked a lot that day. And I want to say it was a Fitbit, but it's 48,000. 35,000 with an Apple Watch, still pretty good. Yeah. So as we wrap up, walk, get some exercise, enjoy it, and reap the benefits of at least 7,000 steps a day. If you're, all of us have Apple Watches or some sort of, not say all of us, but a lot of us do. Or even go buy a cheap one on Amazon, like an actual pedometer, and just stick it to your waist or your belt and keep track of it. Make some choices to move more. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see what shorts come out of this. And I'll say thank you. And until next time, God bless.